I know how popular this government is, and I'm not going to go on as long as I did last night, but how can I not remain consistent, remain frustrated? And we've got so much tonight that's not about coronavirus and not about Queensland. There's a whole bunch of stuff I'm about to talk about that is not, that you haven't seen for the rest of the day because of the conversations that have dominated our politics for a month and our news cycle for the past 48 hours. But look at the incompetence that is running the show in Queensland. This is the Health Minister, who used to be the Attorney General. Her last act as Attorney General before the Queensland election, by the way, was to make it a potentially jailable offence for people like me to tell people like you if a candidate running for office, be it a sitting MP or someone trying to challenge them, had a corruption inquiry going on into them. This is the quality of leadership that is now in the health portfolio. Today, the Minister gave one of the most ridiculous performances I have ever seen, and for once the Queensland media wasn't going to cop it.
Inevitably, there'll be staff who are on leave, and this nurse at the PA actually had been on leave. There's always going to be those who are on leave, who are sick and for other reasons hadn't come forward and got vaccinated. The reality is we had to wait to work critical mass. The whole country isn't at critical mass yet. To say we could have done that 1-2 weeks ago would have meant we're putting our staff at risk. The protocol, as in all health workers in 1A being vaccinated who work with COVID patients, will come in tomorrow.
It's blather. It's rubbish. Tens of thousands of people, not enough, but tens of thousands of people in Queensland have got the COVID-19 vaccine. It is pretty obvious who are the people who absolutely had to have it, and that's everyone working in hotel quarantine. Because as easy it is for the Premier or people to say, oh, we should just stop the number of people coming in back from overseas, these are Australians. And these are Australians who would not have just decided to keep sitting on the beaches of Europe for months. There's been a very limited number of seats to be able to get back into the country. People have had their plans cancelled multiple times. I spoke to a bloke just yesterday in Cairns. He spent $16,000 on 2 economy class tickets to get back from the United States. And this was the 4th time that he was planning to come back because of constant cancellations. So Australians need to be able to come back home, and the people who are guarding them in hotel quarantine need to have the vaccinations. But we learned today via the Doctors Association, or the Doctors Union, frankly, in Queensland, that more than 40% of COVID doctors have not got the vaccine. And this was the blame shift from the Health Minister. The Health Minister, that when she was the Attorney General, wanted to send people like me to jail for telling you if somebody was accused of being corrupt.
The amount of vaccine that we have been supplied by the Commonwealth did not all arrive on the first day. We had to wait for consistency of supply. We also had to keep some in reserve for the second vaccination. We don't want to vaccinate all of these people and then turn around and say in 21 days' time, sorry, we can't give you your second vaccine, we don't have enough. So there's a whole lot of logistics. The Commonwealth are holding a lot in supply as well.
This is a lie, a straight up lie. And it goes back to my first point. When in doubt, blame the feds. Now, sure, there should be a lot more vaccination that's happened across the country right now, but there is no excuse for the relatively small number of people who are not in the thousands who work in hotel quarantine that they all should have got the jab. They all should have had the second jab by now. And this was said today by the national expert, the national leader of the chief medical officers, who's just calling BS on this stuff. And I know this message will not get through to most people in Queensland because of that panic that exists on your 6 p.m. news, your front page of the paper, every single bulletin, be it AM, FM, talk shows, funny shows. It is just a wall you can't penetrate. But this is the truth. The minister is lying.
We've been very clear in relation to the Pfizer vaccine. Because the second dose needs to be given 3 weeks after the first, the Commonwealth, as part of our responsibility, will be keeping a second dose available for every single person that gets a first dose. There is no need for a state or territory to be keeping any vaccine aside for that purpose.
It's a lie. And it's a lie that is now going to cost a lockdown that they're going to somehow get credit for, and then they get all of the people that are the victims of it become political weapons for a federal election campaign because they know they want to pick off a couple of Liberal seats. Seriously, this is ludicrous where we are right now. And they want a gold star because today they announced that no one will be allowed to work in hotel quarantine unless they've had the vaccine. How has this rule not been in place since the first day we even thought about a jab? Let alone the fact that they've been around, and they've been around since the end of February to now the end of March. The only part of a smile that I had today was this little bit of the story, that one of the people who is now part of the community transmission thing, well, he's a stripper. And the headline is not as good as the first paragraph, where the Hens entertainer was linked to a COVID-19 outbreak, but just step into my brain for a little bit of a dirty mind, but also just searching for a smile in this sea of silly. A Queensland tradie who travelled to Byron Bay to feature at a Hens party as an entertainer, he's a stripper, returned to the Gold Coast and then attended an aged care facility while infected with COVID-19. I couldn't help but think, they have strippers now in aged care facilities? If so, maybe that is worth selling your house for. Why not get a thrill? Honestly, I feel for everyone in Queensland. I'm sorry that you are being fed the diet of garbage that you are, but we'll do our best. We'll fight every night. And I know that by the time you've heard Chris and then Peter and then Andrew and then Alan, it feels like you've heard the same thing. But I'm telling you, you know I've been on this for the whole way. This stuff's crazy. We'll keep pushing.